everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is my take on the astrology for July 2026. We have a new moon in Cancer, a full moon that's in Aquarius towards the end of the month. We have the north nodes going into a new sign of Aquarius, meaning the south nodes will be in Leo. And we're also going to have Mercury go direct. But one of the things that stood out for me this month was a configuration that's in many ways operating in the background all month, whether, in and out of a few degrees. And it involves Jupiter, that of course now is in Leo. Now that's going to be opposite Pluto. But the rest of the planets that I'm going to mention actually form sextiles or trines with each other. So we just talked about Jupiter opposing Pluto, but we're also going to have Uranus and Neptune and Pluto all forming sextiles and trines with kind of a mid-month time period of it being more significant and within orb of each other. And I thought that this was really significant in terms of, this background energy that's totally inspirational, transformational. It's about letting go, but an easy letting go of things. And when we're talking about the outer planets, these are in many ways once in a lifetime type setups. But with that addition of Jupiter opposing Pluto, I thought that was very interesting as well, that's in the mix too. Now, it's pretty hard to get a difficult transit with Jupiter, whether it's square or opposition. So I would say this is going to be favorable. And I think it's going to be favorable in terms of transforming, those people that are in power right now. So let's see what happens. And Jupiter in Leo, of course, does represent royalty. All right, so when we start off on the 3rd and 4th of July, we have a Mars conjunct Uranus still in orb of each other. But it will be sextiling Neptune and trining Pluto. So what a beautiful setup here with regards to, a lot of big change. Certainly Mars conjunct Uranus is big change, freedom. But the other part of it is really transforming ourselves, maybe even bringing up some of our spirituality, a big dose of compassion with that Neptune as well. And of course, in the USA, this is the big celebration of 4th of July of their birthday. And of course, this year it's the 250th birthday. So a big celebration. But there might be some big surprises here with that Mars conjunct Uranus. Mars conjunct Uranus could represent, of course, the fireworks. But I think there's going to be a little more than just fireworks. Certainly on that 4th of July, the transiting moon will be conjuncting the north nodes, which are going to be at 0 degrees of Pisces. And the sun at that time will be squaring Saturn. And so I think this is a little bit of a foreshadowing also of a new destiny path opening up, and in particular for the US of A. On the 12th and 13th of July, Mercury retrograde will be at 21 degrees of Cancer, conjunct the Sun. So there's some important news about the homeland here for those folks that are waiting for some news about maybe some miscommunication, maybe some family matter. With the Sun involved here, there may be a glimmer of hope where you get to see where we could sort out these miscommunications, missed communications, and maybe difficulties with family or your mother on a personal level, of course. And of course, that is just before the new moon that will take place in Cancer on the 14th of July, the next day. And speaking of which, that new moon in Cancer will be at 21 degrees of Cancer, 59 minutes. So we really round that up to 22 degrees of Cancer. So certainly if you've got anything like your ascendant and or your sun around 22 Cancer, this is going to be a whole new start for you for the whole year. Now, Mercury will still be retrograde at 20 degrees of Cancer, so it's going to be conjuncting this, but there may be a little bit of a delay here because that Mercury is still retrograde with the new start that you want to make. And the time we're looking at this new moon is, let me just see here. Looks like it's 2:44 a.m. That's Pacific daylight time. Now, Venus will be squaring Uranus at this time. So I would say that this does not bode well for, say, financial matters. There could be some upset here regarding a prominent female figure. Venus will also be conjunct the South Node, and of course, opposing the North Nodes. And we're still looking at here the South Nodes, just at the final vestiges of Virgo and the North Node in Pisces. So again, it's like this letting go. And it may be letting go of some kind of money situation too, because Venus can represent that as well. Like the old way of us doing money, if we take it to a collective level. All right, we've also going to have, we'll finish up here with this new moon. Mars will be widely a sextile Saturn. So this is like positive energy putting into new structures that we want to set together. Saturn can also represent things like governments, rules and regulation. So there may be some new efforts here with regards to potentially bringing in some new rules and regulations regarding this whole new moon and new start. But it has to do more with, I would say, regulations, a new initiative for new governments, that type of thing as well. I'm actually making this video on the day that Kier Starmer actually handed in his resignation. I do have his chart. All my content I put together usually a week or more, sometimes prior. So I wasn't totally surprised that he put his resignation in, but I was going to talk about him at one of these significant times here in July. All right, so I think that's what this whole Mars sextiling Saturn represents too, the dismantling, a positive dismantling of parts of his government and putting in new fresh energy into his cabinet. When we look at the 20th of July, we have Jupiter will be opposing Pluto, and that's going to be at 4 degrees. So 4 degrees of Leo and 4 degrees of Aquarius. And so this also ushers in some positive energy with regards to expanding this transformation. And the transformation also has to do with, letting go of the old ways of doing things. Now, this could also bring something in for royalty, because don't forget, Jupiter is in Leo, and especially Jupiter in Leo does represent royalty. And so there could be some, pronouncements here about some change around that 4 degrees of Leo and Pluto. I'll just take a quick look here. I'm going to be covering Prince Charles later on at the full moon and a couple other charts. So for each of these significant things that are going to be happening here in July 2026, I've got a few charts that I want to talk about here too. All right, let's move on to that Mercury retrograde going direct on the 23rd of July. Of course, this is Pacific time. Here's the chart up here so you can see more details about it. So it does go direct at 16 degrees of Cancer. So for those folks that have been dealing with, say, family matters, maybe in particular matters to do with their mother, there could be a big clear up scene here around the 23rd. Now, a lot of times we say, wait till Mercury actually comes out of its shadow. And so that's going to be really next month. But anyway, it does on the 23rd, goes direct at 16 degrees of Cancer. Now, what's interesting about this is it widely conjuncts with a culminating star, Sirius, at 14 degrees of Cancer. But generally speaking, we look at the star Sirius as a very positive influence here. And so I'm thinking that, we may actually have some positive things happening here, maybe in the homeland at a collective level, but maybe some real breakthroughs with regards to, you know, things happening in the family, our homeland, our mother, that type of thing. When we look at the chart of Reza Pahlavi at this Mercury going direct, there's a few things that happen here. The transiting moon will trine his own natal moon, right? So you can see in the chart here that the transiting moon is going to be at 28 degrees of Scorpio. And his own moon, his natal moon, is at 29 degrees of Pisces. And it's in his second house. The moon itself, the transiting moon on this day, falls in his 10th house, as you can see in his chart. So this, again, puts a focus on Reza Pahlavi, and in particular his people. He may express a lot of compassion. He may have something to say about, you know, his career. This moon does fall in his 10th house, so maybe he's been holding back, not making announcements, and boom, here around the 23rd of July, some big announcement he makes to his people. Now, it's come out in the news today that we're actually going to, the UK is going to have a new prime minister that's been elected, Andy Burnham. So I looked up his chart quickly, and oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it, that he has his sun at 16 degrees of Capricorn, but notably his Mercury retrograde, his Mercury retrograde natally, is at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So this also says, with this sun especially, at 16 degrees of Capricorn, well, Mercury goes direct at 16 degrees of Cancer. So that Cancer Mercury retrograde, which goes direct on the 23rd, right? So that's basically tomorrow, directly opposes his sun. So I thought that was really interesting too. Now, we don't have his time of birth, so I can only go really with some of the planets. I'm going to show his chart here. But if we take 12 noon, which is typically what you would do if you don't have a time, he also has his moon at 11 Capricorn and his Venus at 11 Capricorn too. And so if we stick with his chart here for a little while and talk about Saturn, Saturn squares anything in Cancer or anything in Capricorn. So he has some significant squares coming up with Saturn, which I would say is not favorable for him. And in fact, he may hang in there for a couple of years, but he's going to have some challenges with, first of all, a Saturn square his Venus the last half of September this year and the last week of February 2027. But then this culminates when Saturn will square his Sun, and that's the last week of March 2027. Some significant, I would say, difficulties for him. But it really wraps up for him at an eclipse that we're going to have happen. And that's going to be at 25 degrees of Capricorn on the 18th of July, 2027. So that will be very close to, his own Mercury at 29 degrees of Capricorn. All right, enough of him. Wish him good luck, and good luck to the people of the United Kingdom. On the 26th of July, we have another big event, and that is that the transiting north nodes of the moon of destiny will ingress, or go into, 29 degrees of Aquarius. And the north nodes, as well as the south nodes, go backwards. So they start at the end degree of the sun and then make their way back over 18 months to the first degree of the sign. This is going to be at 5:48 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We will have the sun conjunct Jupiter, which I think is super favorable here. Mercury is going to be direct, and it will sextile Venus. The moon will widely trine Chiron. And of course, Chiron is now in Taurus. The only square that we have happening here is that the Venus in Virgo will be squaring Mars in Gemini. So this could just bring in challenging news with regards to, I think, collecting important information. Information may be held back. We can't get the information that we want at this time. The Sun, as well as Jupiter, which are conjunct here, will sextile Uranus, but oppose Pluto and trine Neptune. Again, we have that lovely sort of scaffolding energy in the background, so positively bringing about inspirational change, right? And freedom, for that matter. And that's involving Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune. But hey, with that Sun and Jupiter sextiling Uranus, this is phenomenal. This is like heads of state working together. In fact, I was wondering also, at this big change of the north nodes, somebody may get a big spotlight put on them that may become significant to the world at this time. So this is an 18-month sojourn of the north nodes in Aquarius and the south nodes in Leo. But what's interesting too to me is there's an awful lot of Leo activity, which is where the south nodes are. So really this ingress says to me that there may be a lot of letting go in this next 18 months, starting around that 26th of July, 2026. So I think this is a process. And I think what's going to be is the lots of different royalty are going to be making changes here of significance during that 18-month period, maybe even starting at the 26th of July. Because we also have, yes, we've got more. We have a yod that is formed when these north nodes of destiny go into Aquarius on the 26th of July. So a yod basically is formed very much like a triangle, like this. So you have planets down here in one angle, planets down here at another angle, pointing to something. So we have on one angle, we have the Sun and Jupiter together, as we've already discussed, at 4 or 5 degrees of Leo. We have Uranus on the other angle at 5 degrees of Gemini. And they are pointing to the moon at 5 degrees of Capricorn. And so this is significant with regards to, I think, sudden announcements and changes regarding the old guard. Don't forget, Capricorn is the old. Capricorn is old institutions. So there could be many old institutions that are going to be changing significantly over the next 18 months. I mean, that's how I view this. When we go back to that Sun and Jupiter, or Sun and Pluto opposition, it is going to be happening at 11:58 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on that same day. And it will be at 4 degrees of Leo for the Sun and 4 degrees of Pluto with Aquarius. Yeah, I mean, when we look at the world stage, that Sun in a transiting chart could represent a male. So I really think, I'm going to go back to what I said, a male is going to be coming into prominence here around this 26th of July. We're going to get a big glimpse of someone that could really change our world for the better. I stick my neck out about that. Now, when we look back to some years here that we had the north nodes, transiting north nodes in Aquarius, the last time was December 2007, followed by May 1989, and then November 1970. I did discuss some of this in my live video. If you want to go take a look at my live video, I gave a little more details in that as well as in my text box. All right, we wrap up the month on the 29th of July with, actually, let me just take a quick look here. Let's just still stay with these north nodes in Aquarius because I've got a chart or two that I want to discuss with you too. Just one chart. So this is Vladimir Putin. So these are all people that are kind of in the news anyway. I'm going to look at, you can see his chart here. I'm going to talk about these south nodes, which will be at 29 degrees of Leo when the north nodes ingress to Aquarius. You can see that these south nodes of destiny will be conjunct Putin's midheaven. And if you look towards the bottom of the chart, say around that 4 o'clock position up here, you can see that the north nodes in the 4th house will conjunct his IC, which is the entrance to your home, and in his case, his homeland. It says to me, and it's not too far off his Pluto, although it isn't exact, it's really just his. So his midheaven, as well as his IC axis, is being very much activated here at this 26th of July. I would say he is going to be encouraged to let go of what his career has been and make some changes in that homeland for a future destiny for his people, right? That 4th house in his chart will represent the people in the homeland. So that's what his focus is supposed to be and what the people want. And he's being publicly asked to let go. He may even make a public announcement saying, I'm stepping down. Now, don't forget, this is an 18-month cycle with the north nodes going through this new sign of Aquarius and south nodes in Leo. But there's a definite activation here for him, asking him maybe to let go of his present career. That is significant. We will also have the transiting moon at this time. This is around the 7 o'clock position in Capricorn, conjunct his own Chiron here. So it seems to me there's a healing energy. If we look at that moon as the people as well, the people really need to heal from what's going on here with him. Let's go back to that full moon in Aquarius that I was speaking about earlier. That's going to be on the 29th of July, and it will be at 7:36 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That full moon will be at 6 degrees of Aquarius in 30 minutes, and it will be conjunct Pluto. This is the big end to the month here. It's a full moon, and I really believe this is going to be endings of some sort. And when we look at that conjunction with Pluto, boom, this could be a resounding end to something, a resounding end, and freedom bursts open here. The sun, of course, will be in the opposite sign at 6 degrees of Leo. Well, it's going to be conjunct Jupiter. And so it's interesting, on one end, we've got the full moon and Pluto together, and on the other end, opposing it, we've got the sun and Jupiter. And as I spoke about earlier, sun and Jupiter is very favorable. But the negative side of having a Jupiter on a sun, especially on the collective stage here of the world, can say someone is, being very grandiose, so that Jupiter expands the negative sides of what Leo is. So this is grandstanding, someone exerting their power as the king or queen. But it opposes that Pluto with the full moon there. And so there could be some real endings to somebody that is on that world stage, probably in heading up some government where they're taken down. All right, we have nicely Jupiter and Leo trining Neptune and opposing Pluto, but sextiling Uranus. So that whole kind of setup again is beautifully put together here. And so it seems to me this month of July is setting up the framework for really positive transformational change. Now, sometimes people are resistant to change, but with Uranus in the mix here, there is no choice. Change is marching forward in July. We also have Venus still square to that Mars. This could bring in, trouble with regards to money, but on a personal basis, I guess. Let me just see where Venus is here. And Mars for that. Mars is at 21 of Gemini, and Venus is at 21 of Virgo. So if you've got anything around that, This could bring in a little bit of a challenge or difficulties regarding a love relationship, because Venus and Mars together is very much like that type of thing. But that's okay. You know, just the rest of this is transformational, this full moon. The other thing that happens here is Mercury will be widely squaring Saturn. And so this again, I think, points back to that whole thing of, you know, the old institutions. And I mean, it's not just the governments, although these will be featured in July. It's also our banks, any old institutions. This could be even churches, institutions that have stood there for a long time. I would say there's going to be some difficult messaging coming their way with that Mercury square to that Saturn. Now, let's look at a few charts as I wrap up the intro to this video. So I've got 3 charts here. I'm going to start with King Charles III. And I'm focusing here on, you can see his chart here, putting the full moon in Aquarius. So the inner chart, or the inner wheel of this chart is his natal chart. The outer wheel is the chart for the full moon in Aquarius. And so the things that stood out for me is that, you know, Chiron is at 0 degrees of Taurus. And it does conjunct his own moon, which is at 0 degrees of Taurus. But it closely conjuncts also his north nodes of destiny in his 10th house. I think he's going to take some time to heal himself. And maybe this is just healing himself from, you know, him having to take so much on as the king, as well as having health problems. And don't forget that the queen consort Camilla has a similar chart in terms of an ascendant in that to Charles. So whatever he does, she will be affected by. Nicely, if you look here at the 9 o'clock position in his chart, that transiting Jupiter as well as the sun will conjunct his ascendant. So this is absolutely fabulous for him. And this is at that full moon on the 29th of July. And the moon itself, as well as Pluto, will be on the opposite end of that towards the entrance of his 7th house. So I think he is going to make some very positive changes here with regards to the monarchy and his position, because of course that healing energy that is focusing on him in his 10th house of what he does, right? All right, briefly we're going to look here at Keir Starmer, who announced today his stepping down. And what I had put in here was this full moon in Aquarius at the end of July was really going to change his destiny path. Well, we already know that's happened, right? But if you look up here around the 12 o'clock position in his chart, again, the inner ring is his natal chart. The outer ring is the full moon chart. You can see that the sun and Jupiter are conjunct at 6 degrees, and then they conjunct his north nodes. So he makes an announcement about a big change in his destiny path. Well, he just did that. And at the same time, if you look down at the bottom of the chart, so this is kind of the 6 o'clock position, you can see that the transiting moon as well as Pluto together are in his 3rd house. And they're conjuncting his south nodes as well as his Saturn. He makes a change regarding his cabinet, that's Saturn, and changes and transform the people that he serves. All right. I'll end here with this chart. This is of Vladimir Zelenskyy, who has bravely done so many things for Ukraine and fought valiantly against Russia and is succeeding. Absolutely amazing person. What he has at this time is transiting Mars will be exactly conjunct his ascendant. And so he's going to make some very positive changes here and movement forward. He's going to be making some significant announcements towards that end of July at this full moon. He has that Pluto and moon at this full moon in Aquarius. So we're looking here about the 2 o'clock position in Vladimir's chart. That's going to be conjuncting both his sun and Venus. He's got a sun-Venus conjunction at 5 Aquarius. Whoa. This is a total transformation. And I'm hoping the total transformation is him announcing that the war has stopped and that Vladimir Putin withdraws. I'm really hoping that happens, but something significant is up here with him. And of course, the transiting north nodes, which we spoke about a little earlier in this video, you can see here at the 1 o'clock position in his chart, they fall in his 10th house. And so this says to me a whole new 18-month start for him of probably freedom-seeking type energy regarding his career. And I wish him the best of luck. All right. I'm going to talk next about the what we have coming up in August, because July is pretty significant. I almost see July actually as a foreshadowing of things to set in place in August. August is going to be an eclipse month. We're going to have a total new moon eclipse on the 12th of August at 20 degrees of Leo. We're going to have a full moon eclipse on the 28th of August at about 5 degrees of Pisces. And in the mix of this, we are going to have, obviously the south nodes are in Leo, north nodes in Aquarius, but we also have Mercury goes through every degree of Leo in August, but we also have Jupiter also in Leo. I've made a whole video about both these eclipses that happen in August. I put the link below, but stay tuned for my August video. So next I'm going to go into the individual signs, either your sun sign and or ascendant. I suggest that you read for your ascendant first, because that gives you the area of life. And then you go on to the sun. The sun's the most important thing in your chart, and just glean a little bit more information about what might be up for you in July 2026. So happy new year to you, Cancer. We have that new moon in Cancer that's going to be in your first house, really promoting you having a new start here at this time. Now, what's interesting about this new moon, there's a star called Castor, which culminates around that degree, the 21 degree mark of Cancer where the new moon is. And if you read what the kind of meaning is, there's always various different meanings, but basically it kind of boiled down to that Castor, although Castor usually goes with Pollux because it's in the constellation of Gemini, not to confuse you, it does stand on its own in this particular new moon in Cancer. And so I would say that the aspects of Castor that is going to be imbuing into this whole new moon for you, Cancer, is going to be one of a Mercury type energy. So that really speaks to communications and new things happening with regards to some kind of messaging of some sort. For some Cancers, this may pan out to be something like a writing project comes your way. Maybe you've been waiting to hear from somebody, maybe a family member. But what might happen with the Mercury still being retrograde at this new moon, Cancer, is you may not get the message. You may confuse the message or not understand the message. Or there may just be some kind of reason why whatever message you're being sent, you're not understanding. And so really, if this does happen, something like this happens, or you're waiting for a message, or you're waiting to hear some information, especially if it's regarding, a family member, especially your mother. It could translate into a home too, though, if you're waiting to hear, say you want to buy or sell a home. Wait to the 23rd of July when we actually have that Mercury go direct in your sign, Cancer, to get the news that you need or information that you need. So don't get too frustrated for the first half. Cancer, if you're not receiving some information that you want, or you can't get the information that you want, it will come. There's lots of, really positive things that are around that whole new moon as well. And for July, generally speaking, anyway, with all the positive influences of background energy of the outer planets, things are shifting in a very positive new way for you Just might have to wait a little bit, right? Now, if you do have something, say, around that 21 degrees, 22 degrees of Cancer, this is going to give you a whole new start to the year. And with the addition of Castor there giving you a Mercury-like energy too, you can expect maybe to have a lot of communications either coming from you or you receiving them. And again, I go back to maybe writing projects may come in for you. But sales and commerce are also associated with Mercury as well. Now that full moon in Aquarius, that falls in your 8th house. And of course, we have the north nodes there now too, right? And so I would say that, there could be some Cancers that decide to retire at this time. And that 8th house represents you accessing your 401k, your investments, maybe a pension, that type of thing. And especially with the north nodes being activated there are going to be some Cancers that make a decision like that. Or you may just make a decision, I've got to cash in some of those investments. This is the time to do it. Or you have a CD that's expiring and you say, you know what, I'm going to just cash that in and take the cash for myself. The 8th house is also the house of secrets. So there could be some secrets that come out at this time. It is also the house of the psychological self. And so there may be some, with Aquarius influence here, there may be some enlightenment that comes your way at that full moon, or a big bright spotlight is put on something that maybe you've been doing that you need to let go of and seek something new. With the north nodes there, it's saying there's a change in this, a positive change for you. And it has this freedom-seeking type energy associated with it. I really like it. Money of investments, shared resources are up at this time for sure. Maybe you're just going to take a hard look, Cancer, at how you've been investing, what you've been investing in. You may also end some shared resource at this time. Maybe you've been diligent and you paid off some of your credit cards and you no longer have that credit card to pay off. That's going to be a really good feeling, and you can seek a new destiny in how you save money and invest money at this time. Take care, Cancer. So Leo, that new moon in Cancer falls in your 12th house, and we also have a Mercury retrograde going on. So the 12th house is very much viewed as a hidden house, hidden places. It's also a spiritual and metaphysical house too. But you could have some new start with regards to, now this could be a family member that maybe has to go into a hospital for some reason. And maybe there's even some miscommunications about it. You're maybe delayed getting this information. That could happen here for some Leos. But it could also be something like you're trying to buy a home at this time, making a new start buying a home. And you've reached out to try to see this place or communicate. Or you are communicating saying you want to buy that house and you're just not hearing anything. You might have to wait till Mercury does go direct on the 23rd of July to actually get some answer coming your way. There may just be some delay regarding that. I mean, it is a hidden house, the 12th house. There's going to be some Leos that may be working behind the scenes here where you can't really communicate, or you've been asked to work in maybe secret or hold back some facts and information with the Mercury retrograde affecting this. Or you may be working diligent behind the scenes on some project and you're trying to get some information and you're waiting for information to put, to cross that T or dot that I. Know that by the 23rd, you should have some movement forward regarding that. Now, the full moon in Aquarius, of course, Aquarius is opposite to your sign, and it features your 7th house of partnerships. Now, remember, we're going to have the north nodes now there too, coming up. But you're also going to have, you're going to have the influence of Jupiter in your sign. And around that time period of that full moon, it's going to be around, 6 or so degrees of Leo. And so this is very positive for you. If you've got your sun and or your ascendant, say around that, this full moon could bring something together very positive for you that maybe you've been working on to get on a new destiny path. Like it's an ending of these efforts that you've put forward. Now, the endings could be of you working with other people. Seventh house is featured here, right? So if we just stick with you, it could be that you finally put together this whole business partnership that you've been doing. It could be for some, there is an ending regarding some clients. Maybe it's just a natural ending where you finished off working for some clients, and this full moon at the end of July represents you saying goodbye to them. It could also be an ending with regards to your marriage partnership. Not necessarily that your partnership is going to end, but that there's a new chapter opening up here where there's a sense of freedom, like being freed here, right? The full moon is in that freedom-seeking sign of Aquarius. But hey, Leo, you've got this influence in July of, Jupiter in your sign for a whole year. Really enjoy it to explore your world in a very positive way and expand where you need to expand in your understanding of where you are in the big wide world. You've got your big eclipse coming up next month, Leo, and that's going to be on the 12th of August. If you are a Leo with something at 20 degrees of Leo, you are going to be affected for the whole year in a super positive new way, as that total new moon eclipse is at 20 degrees of Leo. Super positive. I'll talk more about that, next month, Leo, but if you want to tune into some things I've already done a full video on that eclipse at 20 degrees of Leo in August. Link is below. You might want to take a gander at it. Take care, Leo. So Virgo, that new moon in Cancer forms a sextile with you and pulls in your 11th house. But remember, we've got a Mercury retrograde still happening at the new moon. So this is a new start with regards to friends. So these are new friendships coming your way. And with that Mercury retrograde, you may not be able to immediately initiate the conversation with new friends. It may be some Virgos have applied to join a new group, and you're just waiting for that new start in that new group. That may happen around the 23rd of July. You may miss a communication regarding friends, for instance. So especially for Virgo, because you've got Mercury ruling your sign, make sure to check all your different boxes that we have nowadays in our email system. You may have missed a message because it's gone into another box instead of coming into your main email box. For some reason, it's gone somewhere else. So if you are a Virgo waiting for some information coming your way, or a communication, especially from friends or groups you want to belong to, take a look at all your boxes during this time period, right? So that's going to be like the first half of July. But no, by the 23rd, things should be kind of cleared up. I see this panning out as you, Virgo, communicating with maybe some friends from the past. That's very much Cancer. And you eventually hear from them, but it may not be till around the 23rd or beyond of July. When we look at that full moon in Aquarius, it falls in your 6th house. And remember, we've got those new north nodes there in Aquarius. And so the 6th house represents your day-to-day job. If you don't work, it's what do you do day to day? It is your health and it's small animals. So there may be some wrap up here. Maybe some Virgos have been interviewing for jobs. And the wrap up happens around the 29th of July, where you get a new job. At the same time as you're getting a new job, you're letting an old job go. Or you're morphing into a job that maybe gives you, maybe even, with that north nodes there in Aquarius, I'm thinking some Virgos may be unexpectedly elevated at this time and put on a new destiny path with regards to the job that you do. Now, certainly Aquarius does represent freedom-seeking activity. It's certainly humanitarian types of activities as well. It's scientific too. So there could be some Virgos that are wrapping up some kind of scientific project in their work at this time. But it probably is going to point to you on a new destiny path here. And Uranus, is the modern ruler of Aquarius, and that is like anything above our Earth, right? Take care, Virgo. So Libra, that north new moon in Cancer squares your sign and it involves your 10th house. And we also have that Mercury retrograde still going on. So I'm thinking that there's going to be some Librans that maybe are literally starting a new career here. They want to get a new career off the ground. And there's some kind of fly in the ointment. You might have to, Libra, wait till, say, around that 23rd of July when Mercury goes direct. So how could this play out for you? I think this could play out as you wanting to change your career and you're in negotiations, right? And discussions. That Mercury retrograde is great for discussions and negotiations. And, maybe some of it's hard going for you, where you're really going to have to stand up for yourself and really care for yourself, nurture yourself at this time, and insist on your value. That's what I'm thinking here for Librans with this new start here in your 10th house. But if you are having challenges with regards to getting your message across or your information across to other people, know that the 23rd of July, Mercury will go direct, and there should be some kind of release here or let up where maybe some decisions are going to be made on your behalf. That full moon in Aquarius trines you. Well, that's super positive, and it affects your 5th house. Don't forget, we've got the north nodes there in Aquarius now too, right? Yeah, this is super positive for, I would say, any Librans that are taking the next step, say, in a love relationship. This is going to positively beam super positive energy towards you and your destiny path in that regard. Now, it could also bring in something to do with children. So if there's some Librans that are wanting to get pregnant around this time, this could certainly feature positively for you too. Yeah. We also have a transiting moon that's going to be in Libra, and that is going to be around the 19th of July. And Libra, what's interesting about that goes back to what I said in my intro, where I talked about this sort of background energy of the outer planets being positively affected. Now, you are an air sign. So when we think about the outer planets, we have Uranus, for instance, that is also an air sign too in Gemini. When we look at Pluto, Pluto is also an air sign. And when we look at Neptune, so these are all the planets that are being affected here around that 19th of July by the moon in your sign. You could have some significant breakthroughs here with regards to anything where you want to make some positive change and freedom-seeking type energy, where you just want to break free. This is a positive day for you, Libra, with the support of those outer planets. And, you're also going to have Jupiter that's going to be in Leo, and that is going to be opposing Pluto at that time too. So there could be some big transformation for you here. And maybe it's going to pan out in reality for you at the full moon, Libra. Now that 5th house does represent creative projects. So there may be some Librans that are wrapping up a creative project very positively. And as you wrap up that creative project, Libra, it's going to point to more things in that realm on your destiny path over the next 18 months. Take care, Libra. So Scorpio, that new moon in Cancer, is a fellow water sign, so it forms this positive trine with you and involves your 9th house. But we do have Mercury still going retrograde. Now this can be positive for you with regards to negotiations. And the negotiations may have something to do with a new start regarding maybe you want to publish something. A new start maybe with some foreign people or foreign places. For some Scorpios, you may actually be, negotiating to get in to do an advanced degree. Travel may be up. Ninth house is very much the house of travel. Just note with that Mercury retrograde, certainly enter in discussions with people regarding what you might want to do. But I would wait, if you can, to the 23rd of July to press the button on, okay, I'm going to be traveling at this time. Book my travel. Just know with the Mercury retrograde, if you do have to book travel around that new moon in Cancer, that there may be a few snafus. Make sure you read everything really, really carefully, and maybe even go back over it a day later and read it again. But it is a good time to negotiate and to figure stuff out regarding some kind of travel that you might want to make, any kind of publishing deal, and any kind of new start with regards to foreign people and foreign lands. Negotiations are good for you. Legal matters are also covered by that ninth house. So if there's something that comes in, say, around that new moon in Cancer that you don't like or that is confusing to you, wait till the 23rd. It'll clear itself up. Now, the full moon in Aquarius squares your sign, Scorpio, and involves your fourth house. That fourth house is now where those transiting north nodes in Aquarius will stay for 18 months. So this puts a wrap up, a big spotlight on your family, in particular your mother, but it could also put a spotlight on a home that you're buying or selling at this time. There just may be, I'm thinking, difficulties regarding a family member. That's what I'm thinking of here. And it could pan out to be your mother, where your mother needs better care, and her staying in the home is not a good idea anymore. We have to put her on a new destiny path regarding where she lives. And, it brings up some resistance. That's that square. Or puts a big spotlight on it, right? You may have to pay attention to other people's, opinions at this time, especially if it involves your family. But if it does involve a literal home, I would say with the square, seek out some expert advice here and only pick the best person that can represent you in buying or selling a home at this time. But Uranus moon rules Aquarius. So sometimes things can just turn around, right? Take care, Scorpio. So Sagittarius, that new moon in Cancer, falls in your 8th house. And of course, there's still a Mercury retrograde going on. So there could be some confusion regarding shared resources, investments, pensions, 401ks. I would say with the Mercury retrograde, probably not a good time period to literally put a new investment scheme in place or change up, say, your 401k. I would wait till after the 23rd if you can. Sometimes we cannot. There may be some Sagittarians that are retiring, right? And they want to access all their pensions, their 401ks, investments, and all that type of thing. This would be a good time to check it out, right? The Mercury retrograde part says I want to gather information. So for those Sagittarians that are thinking of retiring, this would be a good time to put all the pieces together. It can take 6 months to a year, even if you know where everything is, to put it all together. And so this may be a start for some Sagittarians to start that process, a very good thing to do. But you may get some confusing information about an investment. Just clear it up. If something doesn't look right to you, especially a communication of some sort, make sure you seek out those people that put it out and find out what the problem is. But the 23rd of July may be the time period where it all clears up for you. It is also the house of psychological self. There may be some Sagittarians that decide they want to seek out some psychological counseling. There may be a delay in hearing back from maybe one of the therapists. Now, when we look at that full moon in Aquarius, well, that sextiles your sign, Sagittarius, and involves your third house. And don't forget, we're going to have the north nodes that will be in Aquarius at that time. Now, that full moon, let me just see what the full moon, the full moon is going to be at around 6 degrees of Aquarius, 7 degrees of Aquarius. And so if you have, say, your ascendant or your sun around that 4 to 6 degrees of Sagittarius, that's a positive, sextiles are a little bit more mild of influence compared to a trine, but they're still positive. And there could be some opportunities that come up for you that are very, very positive, where maybe you decide to wrap something up. The wrapping up might be a third house activity like writing. You may get an opportunity to travel in your job at this time. Third house is also siblings and our neighbors. It's also sales and commerce. So for those Sagittarians that have maybe been investing in a new project, like a sales and commerce type initiative, that full moon at the end of July may wrap it all up for you and point you on a new destiny path regarding that type of project. But it could be, like I said, a writing project you've been doing that favorably wraps up at this time, and you're able to communicate about that. Take care, Sagittarius. So Capricorn, that new moon in Cancer is opposite to you, and it involves your 7th house. And Mercury is still retrograde. So this says to me, there may be a new start here that you want to make regarding a partnership. I'm thinking in particular a business partnership or clients. But there's a little bit of a delay with regards to you're waiting for some communications to come back. This would be a good time, though, the Mercury retrograde, to negotiate or to check out potentially people that you want to form a partnership with. It's just not a good time necessarily to pull the trigger on starting the whole new thing at that time. But you may get in your sights this idea of, I could form a partnership with this person, or, those are the types of clients I need. I would say you might need to still do a little bit more digging and looking carefully at candidates for, say, a business partnership, or look closely at the clients you might want to attract in new and what that's going to require of you. That's what I'm thinking here. Now, this could put a focus literally on your partner, your marriage partner or business partner, where they're featured. And there seems to be some kind of miscommunications either with them, or they're having some kind of miscommunications of some sort, or they're having to do some kind of negotiations behind the scenes. Either or both could be coming up around this new moon. You could even, for some Capricorns, this could be a new start with a potential marriage partner. And there just seems to be some communications that you're not either receiving or you're not understanding something from a potential partner. Just work on clearing it up and know that on the 23rd of July, we will have that Mercury going direct. Now, the full moon in Aquarius falls in your 2nd house. And of course, we have the north nodes of the moon now in Aquarius too. So this says to me that there's going to be some Capricorns that decide to end a job at this time, end a source of income, and embrace something completely different that is more of along the line of what they really want to do in their destiny path right now. This could be you, Capricorn, waking up and saying, I'm not being valued here. And I am going to be asking for more money for my value. And that's something that you do towards the end of the month in July. Because I want a better destiny for myself. But there could be an ending of some kind of source of income, whether it's you choosing, I'm going to end this job now. or you just deciding, I just want to do something different that values me more and really points to, my North Star of what I want to do. And that's that influence of the North Nodes now in Aquarius, of course. Take care, Capricorn. So Aquarius, that new moon in Cancer falls in your 6th house, along with a Mercury still retrograde. And we will have, Jupiter is going to be in the early degrees of Leo, opposite to you. So I would say this new moon could bring up a new start if you've started a new job, for instance. This also could bring up a new start to your health in a very positive way. Now, the influence of Cancer says, I've got to take care of myself. I need to nurture myself. And that might be the new message at this new moon for you, Aquarius. Taking better care of you. Taking better care of you maybe at work too. And perhaps the Mercury retrograde part of it is you having discussions, maybe with superiors, about you need to take better care of yourself. And that you're taking maybe on too much at work. And you're asking for that to change. So negotiations could be up at this time for you regarding your workplace environment. If you don't work, it could be that there's a new start with regards to what you do day to day. But there may be a delay or a discussion or discussions that have to be undertaken before the new start can happen. And that may last as long as the 23rd of July, where Mercury does go direct. When we look at that full moon in Aquarius, well, it falls in your 1st house. So this is some wrap up for you, some big illumination for you, maybe even some ending, Aquarius. We've got the North Nodes now in your sign, and of course Pluto is there too. Now do remember that the North Nodes start at 29 degrees and go back for 18 months to 1 degree. So it's going to be some time before those North Nodes actually conjunct, transiting Pluto. So although the influence of the North Nodes are there in your sign and Pluto, there's not a conjunction happening at this time. But they're both exerting, in many ways, transformational energy to help you get on your true North Nodes of destiny. There's going to be eclipses coming up that will be certainly serving you. Your first eclipse is going to happen that first week of February next year at 17 degrees of Aquarius. And it's a new moon. I know we're talking about July, but I just wanted to give you the heads up for that. So for those Aquarians that say have their sun or their ascendant around, say, 4 to 6 degrees of Aquarius where this full moon happens, there may be some positive changes for you. And I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of Aquarians that want to wrap some stuff up here so they can just move on. And this full moon could bring it for you, especially if you've got something between 4 and 6 degrees of Aquarius. That's what I'm thinking here. I see this as a positive wrap up for most Aquarians here. Because you're going to have Jupiter in your opposite sign, really being beaming positive, benign, supportive energy your way. You may find, actually, Aquarius, that partners really support you at this time. Advisors are good for you too, right? With that Jupiter in your opposite sign. Because you have this whole sort of scaffolding happening behind the scenes with the outer planets, not only for July, but we're talking about July, so all of July, that are positively influencing you as well. It's almost like, that beautiful sound that you get when a harp is played. It's that kind of thing. Could be happening towards the end of July as you wrap things up. Take care, Aquarius. So Pisces, that new moon in Cancer is in a fellow water sign. So we know there's a trine, a very positive trine of energy beaming your way from where? The 5th house. So creative projects could be up here for some Pisces. And I'm thinking with the Mercury retrograde still in there at that new moon in Cancer, this may be a negotiation to put together a creative project of some sort. Now, the other thing it could be for those Pisces that want to get pregnant, you may have to work with some people and wait for messages or be given instructions on how to facilitate this pregnancy. Or you may not know you're pregnant. There may be some Pisces that don't know they're pregnant at this new moon, but that's your new start. And you learn about your pregnancy around the 23rd of July. How awesome would that be? Generally speaking, we're talking about having fun with your family here. And maybe you're under negotiations here in July to say, well, what are we going to do this summer, family? We want to have fun. That's part of the Mercury retrograde. When we look at the full moon in Aquarius, well, that falls in your 12th house. And of course, we've got the north nodes there now in Aquarius too. So this says to me that there's some big illumination of some things that are going on behind the scenes. It could be something as simple as a secret pops out at this time. Or an enemy that's remained hidden pops out at this time. And you're able to identify it and change your destiny path as a result of it. It could happen. But it can also bring a wrap up in a 12th house place. So what are 12th house places? It certainly can be government offices. And in fact, with the Aquarian influence, there could be a wrap up with regards to, say, something to do with scientific things, in particular space. Space above, anything above the earth is very Aquarian, right? It also is things like hospitals, ashrams. So I would say that there could be some finality in regards to these places. Now, how can that pan out? Well, it could pan out as certainly a scientific project is wrapped up behind the scenes. This could be you wrap up having to go, say, for physical therapy. That happens usually in a place behind the scenes, sometimes like in a hospital. This could also be for some Pisces that are, say, pursuing some kind of metaphysical or spiritual type certification, like a yoga thing or shamanism. This could be a wrap-up of you getting that certificate or degree, for that matter, given to you. And with the north nodes there, it changes your whole destiny path. Take care, Pisces. So Aries, we have that new moon in Cancer is squaring you, and it involves your 4th house, and we have Mercury going retrograde. Well, this could just bring in some miscommunications or misunderstandings with family members. It could bring in misunderstandings with your mother, for instance. But it could also bring in some misunderstandings if you're trying to, say, especially buy a home, but it could be selling a home too. Now, the thing I'm thinking, there may be some Aries that are undergoing some reconstruction in their home. Make sure you get everything spelled out. So use that, if that is the case, use the Mercury retrograde at the new moon as a new start for negotiating. Maybe negotiating with a contractor, agreeing on what they will do and the timeline and who else is going to be involved. That would be a good way to use the new moon in Cancer. Cancer represents the home, family, especially the mother. But it does put a challenge here for you. And so I would say that work with other people if that's the sort of activity that's going on here. If it's family members where things just are not working out, if you can postpone till the 23rd of July of making some decisions, that would be better. Things should clear up once Mercury goes direct around the 23rd. When we look at that full moon in Aquarius, hey, that positively forms a sextile with you, Aries, and involves your 11th house, which is now where the north nodes are. So certainly if you've got something, say around 4 to 6 degrees of Aries, so your sun and or your ascendant, this full moon could bring in a big illumination for you that's very, very positive. Now, it may involve friends, that they may step in here to help you wrap something up. There could be groups that you've been applying to that you finally hear you get the stamp of approval to enter into a new group at this time. This also can be the 11th house, your hopes, dreams, and wishes. And especially, Aries, since you've got both Neptune and Saturn working hard in your sign to help you have some hopes, dreams, and wishes come true for yourself. This could be a wrap-up where maybe you've been working hard to make something come true with regards, especially to aiming towards your own personal north nodes of destiny. Changing up your destiny path becomes a reality. And you wrap up all the maybe real effort that you've been putting in here. But friends may supply some assistance and guidance here for you. But in particular, those Aries that have something between 4 and 6, they're their sun, their ascendant, or if you've got a conglomeration of planets, you've got lots of opportunities to wrap things up in a positive way and point towards your new north nodes of destiny. Take care, Aries. So Taurus, that new moon in Cancer, well, it forms a sextile with you and involves your 3rd house. But we've got Mercury still retrograde. To me, this says if you can enter into new negotiations at this time, that 3rd house is all about communications, writing. Siblings could be involved, neighbors could be involved, a sales and commerce project could be involved. You traveling, at least short distances, could also be up here. But with the Mercury retrograde part of it, there may be a delay. So the best way to use this new moon is to enter into discussions about what you want to do new. That's what I would say. And in particular, with this influence of Cancer, this could point more to siblings, right? Because Cancer represents the family. So there may be discussions that you're entering into with the family here over this new moon for a new start. Maybe the new start is with your mother, where you're deciding that your mother's going to maybe live with one of you or go into a smaller home or maybe even have some sort of assisted living situation. But it's a positive setup here where you're working together with your siblings to make it happen for this new start. The other thing is there are going to be some Taurians that are negotiating for a writing project. This is a positive new moon for that, negotiations. But look towards the 23rd of July to see if you actually are awarded that writing project. Now the full moon in Aquarius forms a square with you, Taurus, and involves your 10th house. But remember, we've got the north nodes now in Aquarius. So this is you wanting to wrap something up with regards to your career. Well, there might be some Taurians that do want to change their career at this time. And they're having to work out, how am I going to do that? And the full moon comes along and says, you've collected enough information, you put enough effort in here, let's make this happen. Don't forget that we do have operating in the background some extremely positive energy going on right now, with setting us up, really for all of us to be on a positive destiny path at this time. I would say there's going to be some wrap up. Now, some Taurians may just decide towards the end of July, I'm leaving this job. And I'm going towards my own North Star, where I really want to go to. And it's not easy for them. Maybe they've still got to check off a few boxes before they can do that. But that could literally be what some Taurians do at this time. But it could just be that some Taurians, for the most of July, are looking at, why am I in this career? And everything seems to butt up against you to say, yeah, why are you in this career? And towards the end of the month, maybe some resolution comes in. It doesn't have to be all bad, but those difficulties end. And you can point now to your own North Star. Take care, Taurus. So Gemini, that North Nodes that is in Cancer falls in your 2nd house, but we still have a Mercury retrograde there. So this does say a new start for Geminis regarding your income. So certainly there's going to be a lot of Geminis that are going to get more money coming their way. There's going to be more values put on you as well. Now with the Cancer influence too here, it could literally be that your family sees your value. Now, with the Mercury retrograde part, it may say that you still have to enter into negotiations about that money, that income coming your way. Don't be shy about it, Gemini. This is all about you taking care of you regarding the money that you make. Don't be shy. Just understand with the Mercury retrograde, this is negotiation time as opposed to pulling the trigger on signing a contract for the money that you're getting. Try, if you can, waiting till the 23rd and beyond of July before a final decision is made and you may sign a contract and get that money in your hand. You may also get money literally given to you from a family member or family for some reason. But it's a new start. New income comes in for you. It just may be delayed a little bit, Gemini. That full moon in Aquarius, well, that's in a fellow air sign like you, and that means it forms this absolutely fabulous trine. And we've also got the North Nodes, newly minted, also in Aquarius. Wow. I mean, if you've got your sun or ascendant somewhere between 4 and 6 degrees of Gemini, you're going to be really positively influenced by that full moon. So a full moon speaks to a wrap-up, a big illumination, maybe even an ending here. But because it's a trine, Gemini, for you, it's a positive ending. I mean, it's the 9th house here that the wrap-up is happening. And the 9th house, there's a number of things that are 9th house related. It could be an advanced degree is finally wrapped up after all those years, right? It could be that there's a wrap-up of a legal matter here. And the legal matter could cover so many different things. It could also cover things like if you're looking for visas or green cards, it could be a final stamp of approval type thing. But it can also be things like travel. And it could literally be that travel, you end some travel here of some sort, but it could also mean you end some travel planning of some sort as well, where you finally say, that's where I'm going to go next. It's also foreign people and foreign places, so there may also be a wrap-up regarding that too. But because we've got the North Nodes here, I'm thinking that it's a positive wrap-up here with regards to maybe you, for some Geminis, maybe even going to a foreign country here where you decide your destiny path is going to be in a foreign place working with foreign people. Or you stay in your homeland and start developing some kind of situation, maybe in your job, or maybe even in a university setting with foreign people and foreign places. You could even wrap up, I'm thinking for those folks that want to do, maybe to finish off an advanced degree, but they want to do it in a foreign place. This is a wrap-up positively for you, and you get the green light. I like it. Well, Gemini, you have Uranus in your sign for the next few years. You know, waking you up, giving you enlightenment, and most of all, freeing you. And for some Geminis, freeing you for the first time in your life. Take care, Gemini. All right, folks, so that's it for me for July. Hey, we got a big month next August. Stay tuned for that. I have, like I said, made videos already on the 2 eclipses separate videos. They're posted below. I've also done Jupiter in Leo video. That's below. So take a look if you want to and listen in for your own sun sign and or ascendant. Please take care of yourself. Look, with Jupiter now going in Leo, Leo is all about having fun. Let's plan some really fun activities with our family and our friends during these summer months, maybe right the way through September too. Take care, everybody. I'm sending everybody lots of love. Love is very much related to Leo. And bye for now. Take care.